Bhati. I'm head of Joshi Advocates. Thank you very much for joining us in this video. Amazing new Home Office policy drops, allowing people to go on to the indefinite leave to remain application within a 5-year route to settlement rather than 10. Now, before we go any further, just to highlight, this is a policy. The law still remains 10-year private life leave to remain, and then indefinite leave to remain. The law still remains. This is a policy which allows the Home Office caseworker to grant indefinite should the requirements be met by the applicant. It doesn't mean the Home Office has to give it. It's just a power Home Office has to give it should the Home Office caseworker deem it fit. Now, let's see. This is only applicable to 2 private life routes, right? Remember, there are 4 private life routes: the 7-year child route, the 18 and 25 route, the less than 20 years route, and then the 20 years route, right? Now, this policy is only applicable to 2 private life routes. One, where the child under the 7-year private life route got onto the private life route by him or herself, not as the parent's dependent. So, for instance, the child's visa Home Office decision would say, private life 10-year route. It would not be as the parent's dependent. That person's not applicable to this policy. Now, that's one private life route applicable to this policy. The second private life route applicable to this policy is where, say, a person came in between the ages of 9 and 12 years of age and had lived in the UK half of their life. So they were 18 or under 25 when they made the Home Office application, right? So that those 2 routes are relevant to this policy. Home Office saying that if under those 2 routes you have completed 5 years with limited leave to remain, you may be eligible for indefinite leave to remain rather than completing the 10-year route. So let's look at what the requirements are. Now, it's not a requirement to put a Life in the UK test and English language tests in this, because remember, the law is still 10 years to indefinite under all 4 private life routes. It's still 10 years. This policy just allows the caseworker to consider indefinite leave to remain when the applicant has completed 5 years limited leave to remain under only those 2 private life routes. All right. So the considerations Home Office has in mind are as follows. I'm going to look at my notes and we'll look at which document you can put to meet each section. So 1, person's age when they entered the UK. So say a person came when they were young, they spent most of their formative years in the UK, their teenage years, and now they're an adult living in the UK and spent half of their life living in the UK. Or the person's born in the UK and has spent half of their life living in the UK and now is 10 or 15. How long the person's lived in the UK. So again, give documents from school, college, employer, bank statements to show the person is established in the UK for each year. The strength and connections in the UK. Now, as I mentioned earlier, although Life in the UK test English language test level B1 is not a requirement, but it doesn't harm the application if the applicant over the age of 18 submits it, because it shows the integration in society and culture, strength and ties to the UK. Now, Home Office also wants to understand that when the applicant was living in the UK unlawfully, why that was the case. Usually it's when the applicant is a child and the parents make decisions, and the parent has made a decision not to make an application or no proper legal advice or no funds, XYZ. So whatever the reason might be which led the applicant unlawfully living in the UK, that should be explained by the applicant, probably like in a letter. And then also the applicant should say, look, I got private life leave to remain from this year to this year, and then again this year to this year. I was lawfully living in the UK under the relevant private life, the 2 ones we mentioned earlier. And it also helps if the person says, look, if I get indefinite leave to remain, it would benefit me. Now, some situations are like when a person's on the limited leave to remain, they have to have only a particular number of absences from the UK, right? But when they have indefinite leave to remain, they're allowed, say, max 2 years to be outside the UK. So some people might have secured a very good job, and for that job they may need to travel. So they may tell the Home Office, look, I've lived in the UK for 5 years under one of the two private life routes relevant to this policy. I need indefinite leave to remain because then I can travel for my job, which is really outside England somewhere, and I need 3 months there or 5 months there each year, or whatever the requirement might be. And it'll be easier if I have indefinite leave to remain. So explain to the Home Office how it will benefit you. In some instances, it may also be that securing indefinite might make it easier for securing any scholarships or any tuition, education monies for university fees, who knows. But whatever the reason might be, put it on a cover letter for your application. Now, as with every application, the applicant must meet the suitability requirement, which is that there is no bad behavior, no criminal convictions, no antisocial behavior, no civil judgments, bankruptcy, XYZ. So that also applies to this policy. I just want to end this video by reiterating two things. One, this is just a policy. The law still remains 10 years private life. It's a policy allowing the Home Office the power to move the person to indefinite leave to remain, having completed 5 years limited leave to remain. They don't have to do it. They can if they want to. And if you put the application according to this policy, I will link this policy. It's only 7 pages in the description box below. And two, this policy is only relevant to 2 of the 4 private life routes. One is where the person is in the UK under the private life route, say as a child, not as a dependent on their parent. So they must have a private life child route, not as dependent on their parent. Or the person comes into the paragraph where they came in when they were 9. Is that just me? No. I keep hearing some noise. The second one is where the person came in when they were between the ages of 18 and 25, and they lived in the UK half of their life, which practically means a person came in when they were aged 9 or 12 and a half, and they've lived in the UK half of their life, right? So I hope this is going to be helpful. As always, contact me, details below, subscribe, and I'll see you next week. Thank you so much. Take care.